President Obama has spoken at the UN on September 2009, and he said the danger posed by climate change cannot be denied, and our responsibility to meet must not be deferred. Future generations will look back and wonder why we refused to act, why we failed to pass on an environment that was worthy of our inheritance. And that is why the days when America dragged its feet on this issue are over. So I'm here to, as a Secretary of Energy and as a scientist, to tell you what we're doing in this realm in order to meet these obligations. The first thing to achieve our climate and energy goals is we have to use and generate energy more efficiently. And let me speak just to energy efficiency on this one. Here's a graph of the size of American refrigerator in the brown curve, the upper brown curve. In 1975, the average size of American refrigerator was about 18 cubic feet. By 2005, the average size was 22 cubic feet, huge by European and Asian standards. The efficiency of the refrigerators, due to the promulgation of appliance standards, has improved, now over 75%. So today's refrigerators, 2008, 2009 refrigerators, are using 1/4 of the energy they used to use, even though the size has gone up. The best technology actually offers another factor of 2. Also shown in the green curve is the cost of refrigerators. When these standards were first introduced, the appliance manufacturers said the American public cannot afford these appliances, and it turned out when you adjust for inflation, the cost of the more efficient refrigerators went down by a factor of 2. Because of this and other examples, the Department of Energy has now decided to very aggressively expand our appliance efficiency standards program. We're going to be updating the standards we now have, but we're expanding into other things, into more realms of lighting, cooling, heating, and into buildings, both residential and commercial buildings. Speaking of buildings, if you look and if you ask yourself and you ask your neighbors, are you actually taking full advantage of the cost savings in insulating and weatherizing your own homes? And the answer is some yes and some no. There are barriers to improving the energy efficiency of existing homes. There's inconvenience, there's a lack of information, there's simple inertia, there's a lack of financing. And so what we're doing in the Department of Energy is starting a new program. We're investing $400 million in order to retrofit, but retrofit in a different way. Instead of retrofitting individually in an individual home, we want to make this a community thing. We want the vendors to convince many people in an entire neighborhood they should sign up to this. If you get 1/3, 1/2 of the people to do this, you can do the energy audit in one fell swoop, not having a truck go out, come back, go out, come back at different times. There would be more confidence if you get a vendor that has the confidence, that has, for example, a Department of Energy seal that says, we certify this vendor as a reliable vendor. And we also want to make this something that's the social norm. Retrofitting, making your house more energy efficient should be something you should be proud of, as well as saving money. So we hope to drive the cost down by a significant amount, perhaps as much as a factor of 2, make it very simple, and we're also working on other programs, financing. We're going to be developing tools that one can download, for example, on an iPhone or a PDA like a BlackBerry, so you yourself can do the energy audit and find out if you want to go to the hardware store what you can do. We are also interested in spurring on the development of technology, for example, infrared viewers that can actually spot heat leaks. Heat leaks in the vents on your heating and cooling systems, heat leaks in the windows and the doors, because it's not enough to know that your house is leaky, but it's far better to know actually where it's leaking. And so both in infrared viewers and things that can detect air currents, it's sort of, I went around looking in my neighborhood for, sort of like these Zen smoke incense things, but I wanted to be real Zen, so I didn't want the smell, I just wanted the smoke. I couldn't find it. My wife didn't want me to use a cigar to go around and look for breezes in the windows, but we're still working on that technology. In addition to that, there is a huge amount of gains that can be made if we think hard about how we design buildings, especially commercial buildings. And we say that we should make buildings into Priuses. If you think of how Prius was invented, the battery wasn't invented, the alternator wasn't invented, brakes weren't invented. What they did is they put the whole system together. And by putting the system together, so you step on your brakes and you charge up your battery that can run a small electric motor, the car became more fuel efficient. If you think about what goes into a building, the lighting, the building materials, appliances, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, the on-site power and heat, the integration of this building and then a computer control of the building that automatically senses what's happening at the time of day, where light should be and where they shouldn't, where ventilation should be and shouldn't. These are things that we think can greatly improve the efficiency of building. We're not talking about 20–30% improvement. In having detailed discussions with vendors, companies like United Technologies, some of the control companies, Johnson Controls, we began to be convinced when I was director at LB&L that we can save perhaps 75% of the energy in a building, and those investments should be able to pay for themselves in less than 15 years. So again, it's saving money and it's saving a considerable amount of energy. In the United States, 40% of our energy is used in buildings. The other thing we need to do is unlock the full potential of renewables. Wind has been a pretty good success story. The cost of wind power generation has gone down by more than a factor of 10. They're beginning to be huge turbines in the several megawatt range with turbines on the drawing boards up to 6 megawatts with full diameter rotors of 126 meters in diameter. To give you a full scale of the size of these very large wind turbines, the largest plane now in service, the 747-400, has a wingspan of 64.5 meters, 1/2 of the diameter of these wind turbines. But as these wind turbines get bigger and bigger, and especially as we think of tapping the offshore resources of these wind turbines, they have to be made much more reliable. And so for that reason, the United States federal government Department of Energy is beginning to make very big investments in test facilities. $25 million blade test facility, $45 million drivetrain test facility, in order to help industry produce wind turbines with far higher reliability. In the end, an offshore wind turbine has to be able to work for 10, maybe 20 years without breaking down in order to make this financially viable. Another thing we are looking at and trying to spur on is silicon photovoltaics. This is what we call a learning curve. What's plotted here is not time on the x-axis, but the cumulative production. And as we produce more photovoltaics, the cost comes down because you learn better industrial processing techniques and there's slow incremental improvement. I also want to point out that the y-axis is logarithmic. That means you're making exponential improvements in the technology and especially which leads to a cost reduction. This is the so-called famous Moore's law curves that are true not only for the size of integrated circuits, but also for many, many technologies. The green line shows the investments in silicon phototechnology marching down to about $2 an installed watt module cost. The full cost of installation is about twice that for large building size installations because the balance of systems, the installation costs, the inverters, the hookups, all those things are now half the price. What we're hoping and what we're expecting from industry, they tell me that the cost of modules will go down by another factor 2 within 1 or 2 years, either from silicon technology, constant improvement in silicon technology, or through thin films. At that point, we have to really concentrate. In fact, we have to begin to concentrate on decreasing the entire installed cost. If the installed cost goes down to $1 to $2 a watt, then I hope to see large-scale deployment without subsidy. And this is what ultimately we're hoping for. And certainly at $1 an installed watt, you will see them popping up everywhere without subsidy. And so this is something that the Department of Energy is very interested in pursuing. That just explains what the costs are today and what we're projecting the costs will be.